Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hope I'm audible and the screen visible. Welcome back to the session. So day 4 of our training, day 4 of data analytics using Microsoft Excel. Yesterday, we had looked at these functions, maxifs, minifs, sumifs, countifs. And then we talked about error handling by using the if error and the if any functions. So what's the difference between the two? If NA handles only the NA errors. If error, on the other hand, handles all types of errors, including the not available or not applicable error. Okay, NA error. Now, we also talked about mixed referencing. For one particular example, we used mixed referencing. And we had started talking about conditional formatting. Okay, we didn't cover all of the aspects of conditional formatting, but to some extent we did. So we will continue with conditional formatting today, look at what all we can do, and then get an introduction to the lookup functions. Okay, and tomorrow completely we will focus on the lookup functions. So with this agenda, let's get started. We were using this data yesterday. I was using this data to explain about the concept of conditional formatting. I'll give you a quick recap of whatever we had done yesterday, and then we will proceed further. Okay. So I'm doing this on a Windows machine today so that you all can see and understand how it is done on a Windows machine, because I think on a MacBook, a few features are not matching. Some of you had told yesterday. So here is our data that we were working with yesterday. So as a quick recap, I'm going to take the data that is present in the profit target column. Okay. Here I have selected the entire column by using Control plus Shift key plus the down arrow. So you click in the cell, hold down the Control key plus Shift plus down arrow. The whole column gets selected. Now I will go up to the Styles group under the Home ribbon, the place where we can access conditional formatting from. Okay. When we click here, we will see certain options to perform conditional formatting. So I'll do a recap of what we had done with highlight cells. In this case, let's say I would like to highlight those cells having a value of greater than 100. So we'll go in here and select this greater than option. We'll be prompted to enter a value, format cells that are greater than, and I'm going to give 100. Here we can choose what type of color, how we might want to format it. I will say greater than 100 should appear with a green fill with dark green text. Now you can notice how it has done, right? Excel has highlighted. It managed to highlight all the cells where the value is more than 100. Now I will again select this particular cell and apply another rule. The next rule or condition is I would like to highlight the members with a profit of less than 50 and that in red color. So you can notice how it managed to highlight it in red. I'll apply one more condition that I want to highlight the members whose target profit is in between. Okay. So I'm using the between option now. It's from 50 to 100. And such things I'm going to highlight in yellow color. The cells where the profit is in the range of 50 to 100 are supposed to be highlighted with yellow color. So this was what we had done yesterday. The last concept that we discussed was this. The complete data that is present in this column is now having a color based on the value in that field, right? Green for more than 100, yellow for the values from 50 to 100, and less than 50 are in red color. So whatever I did just now is highlighting only the data that is present in that particular column. Now, what if we might want to highlight the entire row based on the condition? Some condition that we define. If we would want to highlight the entire row, then what to do? So first, I will clear out whatever formatting I have applied. How to clear it out? By going back to conditional formatting, we have an option to clear the rules. Okay, these are called as rules. We are setting up a rule that when so-and-so condition is met, do something. If the condition is not met, then something else. So here, we will go ahead and clear the rules. I'm going to clear the rules from the entire sheet. I don't want anything here, so I'll just completely clear everything. Now let's see how to highlight a complete row based on some criteria. So I will select the entire table. Control Shift right arrow and Control Shift down. So the whole data, the complete data in the table is now selected. In that range is selected. Okay. I'll go ahead and apply conditional formatting. But now I am going to create a rule. Okay, I'm going to create a rule and we'll have to use this option. Use a formula to determine which cells to format. Okay. And edit the rule description. Format values where the formula is true. So what is the formula? The value in this particular cell or in that column actually, but I'll just select the cell. If it is greater than 100, we need the highlighting to happen. But if you notice here, the column and the row both are logged in place. This is absolute referencing. In our case, we want only the column to be logged. The row should not be logged. We have to work with the data present in each and every row. So I will simply remove the $sign before the row number. This is mixed referencing. Now, in this case where we define the row, any default color format is in there. There is no default color format that we can select from. We will have to set up the format. Okay, by going to this format button, we can go ahead and choose the format. I will just use a fill. Let's say I want to fill it with this color. All right. So now I'm going to click on OK and OK again. And we should be able to see all the cells wherever the target profit was greater than 100. It's not just that particular cell, but the entire row corresponding to it got highlighted. Okay, how to highlight an entire row based on certain value is what we've seen. Yeah, Rakshan, more or less similar to what you do with the if functions, right? It should be greater than something or less than something, equal to something, between certain range. Yeah, more or less the same. Okay. One more time this feature. Okay. The feature of highlighting the entire row, I think you're asking me to repeat, right? Okay, let's see that. Let me undo let me clear the formatting. So I will go slow now. Please see. Actually, we did this yesterday. I'm just repeating what we had done yesterday. First, we have to select the complete range. Hold down the Control key, Shift key, and the right arrow so that the cursor moves to the right and highlights the entire row. Now, Control, Shift, and down arrow so that the complete range of data is highlighted. Okay. After the whole thing is highlighted, now I'll go up to the styles group. This is called as the styles group and access the conditional formatting feature from here. Highlight cell rules, and this time I would like to define a rule. Okay, I'm not using greater than, less than. I'm going to define a rule. Greater than, less than you can use if you're working with one cell, one column. Here we are working with the entire data. We want the whole thing to be highlighted, isn't it? So we'll have to go here to more rules. Now, I would like to use a formula to determine which cells to format. I think this, even if I zoom in this part, it will not work. Okay. Use a formula to determine which cells to format is the one that I've selected here. You can see the blue ribbon behind it. Here we have to type in the formula. Okay. Now, what is our rule? We want the data in column G over here. We want the data present over here to be greater than 100. And only for such records where the target profit is greater than 100, we would like to highlight the entire row. And I'm going to use mixed referencing to not lock the row. Okay, so this is $G2. $G means the column is logged G column, but the row is not logged. Okay, and I'm using a different format, a color, to highlight the cells. Okay, so I hope you got it this time. This is how we can ensure that the entire row meeting the criteria is highlighted. Okay. All right. So if I just use, let's say, K2 or K, suppose what is the address of this cell? It is K3. If I move down, it would become K4. If I move here, it would become L4. That every cell has an address, isn't it? So this is called relative referencing, K3, K4, K5, it moves. But here we wanted mixed referencing, fixing the column, changing the row alone. All right. Now let's proceed further and look at some more options that we have under conditional formatting. So I'm going to clear away all the rules that I applied. I'll just clear everything. So we had discussed about top and bottom also yesterday. Okay, so highlight cells and top and bottom is done. Now let's proceed to the next set. These are a more graphical or a more visual way of representing the data. Okay, we can highlight the values basically by indicating data bars. The first thing is data bar. And I will first select the column with which I would like to work. This is the column that I want to work with. Now I'll go to data bars. We can indicate the values by giving bars, by placing bars. So it's a nice visual way of representing the data. There are different colors to choose from, as you can see. We also have solid fill. Okay, this is a gradient fill and this is a solid fill. I'll go ahead with gradient fill and I will use, let's say, blue color, this one. Now let's understand how to interpret these bars. You can notice bars have come, but what are they indicating? They are indicating the performance or the target profit relative to each other. See, if you notice, the highest profit I think is 370, which you can see the length of the bar is the longest here. And relative to the highest value, the rest of the bars have been given a size. Okay, the rest of the bars are in proportion or in relation to or relative to the highest value. This is 360. This is 260. This is 220. This is 30. Getting it? We are indicating the value, not just the value, but in the form of a bar. Now, I'll do one thing. I'll make it slightly wider. All these three, I would like to increase the width of all the three columns. So by going to the column number, when we select the columns and go to this format option. This is to format the width of the cell or the height of the cell. So this is the cells group. I'll go in here and change the column width. I'm going to fix the column width as 15 pixels. Okay, 15. I think 15 is small. Let me make it 25. Okay, this is better. Okay, this is better. Now, it is also possible to hide these numbers. Let's say I want to indicate the data only with the bar. Numbers need not be displayed, or for some reason I would like to hide the numbers. Then what to do? Select the entire column. Okay. Now I will go back to my conditional formatting and I'm going to manage the rules. Whatever rules that we set up on the sheet and on a particular cell or a column, everything can be seen or accessed from this manage rules option. So when I go to manage rules here, this is the rule, right? What did we put? Data bar. Okay, on this particular column and that row, we have put a data bar. Now I would like to edit this rule. So here's an option to edit the rule. First, I'll have to select the rule. You can see it has been highlighted. And now I'll click on edit rule button. Once this is done, you see here, we are representing our visualization through a data bar. The format style is a data bar, and there is one checkbox next to it. Show bar only. So if I select this checkbox to show bar only, it is going to remove the values. Okay, once I apply on OK, it's not going to show me the data. It will only show me the bars. Look at that. So how would this help us? What can we figure out by looking at only the bars? We wouldn't know anything much, right? Imagine a scenario where you're giving a presentation. You're from the finance department and you're giving a report. Let's say a report where you're indicating the salaries of employees. Okay, you're showcasing the salaries of employees, but you're not supposed to reveal the salaries. You just have to show a relative comparison. Okay, so with respect to the highest salary that is being paid to an employee, what is the salary that the rest of the employees are getting? I hope you are getting my point. So places where you might want to hide the figures, the numbers, the values, because you don't want people to know what is the salary. You simply want to know relatively where do they stand. Okay, so in that case, you can simply create this kind of visualization where we are not showing the numbers, but the bars are going to convey the information. The point you need to remember here is this is relative comparison. This is relative comparison. Okay, means this is slightly higher than this member. This member is significantly higher than this member. This member is much, much low compared to this member. Okay, so relative. Exactly. While we are showcasing confidential data, it is better we can, if we go ahead and hide the numbers, but we can still show the performance by using bars. Okay, so that was about data bars under conditional formatting. Let's move on and look at another feature that we have here. This time I will be working with the profit column. Okay, and what's my condition? Let's go here to color scales. When we use color scales, you can see different gradients. This is yellow, green, red, green, yellow, and red, right? So the highest range, higher values will get green color. The medium range values will be in yellow, and the low range values will be in red. This is the opposite of that. Okay, like that we have different color schemas from where we can choose what we might want to use. So I will just go ahead and use the first one. The first one, green, yellow, red scale. But what does this exactly do? Let me show you. Okay, what this did is, if you look at the data here, right? The least value is 0. That has got a nice red color. And you can see medium values are in yellow. High range values are in green. And if you see very dark shade of green, that is here, 367, that's a dark shade of green. Relatively lesser values are having a lighter shade of green. And when we go towards these numbers, it is yellow. And very less values are in shades of red. So it basically segregated your data, and through a color gradient, it is indicating the value. This kind of representation can also be called a heat map. It can be called a heat map. So for this, I will show you another example, which will be more meaningful. Here I am on color scale. So this is some data that I have. Okay. This is the sales. Let's say this is the sales of various products that coffee chain business is selling, and the sales that has happened across different months all the way up to December. I have my data. Okay, so I simply want to give some sort of color code to understand this data. Basically, I would like to draw the attention of the users towards the high and low values. When you want to maybe significantly highlight the highs and lows, then you can go ahead and give a background color. Color depending on the value that is present in that field. So I'm going to highlight this entire range. Go to conditional formatting and simply use the color scales. Okay, so what has happened here? Depending on the value we're getting. So wherever you see red, it is basically indicating that the sales is very less. For example, for regular espresso, for mint, for green tea, they're not selling much. Colombian coffee, that is selling a lot. Okay, then we have lemon tea, which is okay. Mocha is fine. Rest of them are kind of medium, Darjeeling, decaf espresso and all. Whereas certain products are not selling much. The sales is very, very less over here in these cases. Okay. So here we can't see the color legend as such. Simply by looking at the colors, we should understand. Okay, Karthik, there is no separate legend. This itself is conveying the information to us. All right. So this is about color gradient, okay, color scales. Data bars is one option, color scales is another option. I hope you all understood the significance of color scales well after seeing this example. Now we will talk about another feature that is present here, which is called icon sets. Another interesting way to highlight your data. The color scales are based on the values that are present in the field. It is based on the values. It is dividing your data into 3 ranges. Okay, it is dividing the data into high range, medium range, and low range. And based on that, it has given the colors. No. Okay, the question here is, if we've done this month-wise, how do we differentiate the colors? See, I have not chosen one single state here, or one single month here. I have chosen the entire data, isn't it? If you observe very closely, within each cell, there is a slight difference in the color gradient. If you compare 8,568 and 7,464, there are 2 different shades of colors here. Not very significant, but they are 2 different shades of colors. Or this one and this one. In the same row, there are 2 different shades of colors. Why? Each cell is being colored depending on the value that it holds. Did you all understand? Each and every cell is getting a color based on the value that it holds. If you look at 11,975, it is slightly darker compared to 9,000. There is a difference in the shade of the color depending on the value. Let me do one thing. Let's say here I will just increase this to 12,000. So what will happen? Or 120,000. It has changed. So now I hope it is clear. It's not coloring the entire row with the same color. It is giving the color based on the value in the cell. Let's make this around 5,000. So look at the color. Okay. Now I hope it's clear. So I'll undo that. Is it clear? Those of you who connected through YouTube Live? Naveen, is it clear? Satish, I hope it's clear. Okay. Thank you for the confirmation. Right, we'll proceed. Now let's go back to the first sheet and we will discuss about something called as icon sets, which I will explain using this column, marked price. So let me go here. There is icon sets. Okay, there are different ways in which we can indicate certain things using arrows. Again, we have 3, we have different things. Let's go with this. Actually, you can choose anything. I'll choose this. This is called as traffic lights. Choose a set of icons to represent the values in selected cells. So I'm going to select this 3 traffic lights symbol. Now let's understand what actually happens here. it is basically going to divide your data into 3 parts. Okay, whatever data I have, it is divided into 1/3 and 1/3 and 1/3. Okay. So it divides my data. One moment, please. Okay, I should. It divides your data into 1/3, again to 1/3, and again to 1/3. So whatever values come under the first bucket, they will be in one color. Whatever values come in the second 1/3 of the bucket will come in another color. Whatever values come in the last bucket. Okay, so let's say 0 to 33%. Okay, 34 to 67%. And this will be 67 to 100%. Based on the percentages, it is going to divide. It breaks your data into 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, because there are 3 symbols, right? Red, yellow, and green. Therefore, it works like that. Let me show it to you with another example. Okay, let's say I have data like this. If this is my data and if I apply the traffic signal data icon over here, what will happen? So it basically divided the data into 3 parts, right? These 3, 1, 2, and 3 are here. 4, 5, and 6 are in one color. 7, 8, and 9 are in one color. Now, if I change the values, so basically what is the overall range is what the system will check. What is the overall range of values that we are dealing with? The overall range of values we are dealing with is 1 to 9. And when I break this into 3 parts, 1 to 3 is one part, 4 to 6 is one part, and then 7, 8, and 9 is another part of my data. All right, now I'll make a small change here. Suppose this is also 3. Suppose I change this value to 1, to 3. Look at, or to 2. Look at what is happening. So when I say 1/3, it is not the, it's not like you have 9 records, so 3, 3, 3 records. No, it is based on the values. When I say 1/3 of 1 to 9, 1, 2, and 3, all the 3 numbers will go into the first 33% of the data. That could be even half of your values which fall in that range. Is this point clear? It could be even half of the values that could fall in the 1/3 range. Physically, half of my data is going there, more than half. However, this is the range that is the 1/3 of the entire data range. Okay, when you're breaking your data into 3, this is called data distribution. Where do we use this? This feature that we are talking about is called as data distribution. We are breaking our data into buckets. Okay, we're taking the complete range of data and breaking into 3 buckets and seeing how many values are there in each bucket. Imagine this is some, the ranks that people have scored. Okay, let's say some college or some institute, 9 children appeared for an exam, and of the 9 children who appeared for the exam, these are their ranks. So we see that there is a tie in the first position, there's a tie in the second position, but 5 out of the 9 people have managed to stand in the first 3 places. Is it clear now when to use data icon sets? It is related to data distribution. You're breaking your data into buckets. And then you're looking at how many observations are there in each bucket. Okay, so if I change this, if I change the final number itself, let's say this is only 6. then what will happen? Everything will change accordingly. Because now the range that I'm dealing with is not 1 to 9. Now the range that I'm dealing with is 1 to 6. So what will happen? Accordingly, things will change. Okay, here it has removed the middle parts. Sorry, to 8. This is 1 to 8, right? Let me change this also. I'll make this 5 and I will make this 6. Now look at that. So if we are dealing with this kind of information here, what happens? This is 1 to 6, the overall range, right? First, you have to check the overall. Overall, the range of values are from 1 to 6. And when I break this overall data into 3 buckets, 1 and 2 will be in one bucket, 3 and 4 will be in one bucket, 5 and 6 will be in another bucket, isn't it? So you can see 1 and 2 all in red color. 3 and 4 of which I have only 3 in yellow. 5 and 6 of which I have 5 and 6 occurring 3 times, they are in the next bucket. So we are bucketing our data over here. Yeah, this is all discrete data only, yes. It can be continuous also, it will work. Even if you have decimals and continuous data, it will work. Here I'm trying to explain it with whole numbers. It can also be decimal numbers. Accordingly, it will break the data. All right. So I hope it's clear. Can you show 3 colors in one circle? No, we can't show 3 colors in one circle. There is a reason, there is a purpose why these circles are kept separate to indicate the values, right? Okay. So now here, what is the range of data that we are looking at is, we have very, very low values like 40, etc. Okay, that is, I think, we have quite small numbers. Then we have medium range values, which are coming in yellow. And we have the high range values also, which are here coming in green, like 678, 494, 546, etc. All right, so this is the purpose of representing the data using icon sets. Yeah, it does not matter. You can have positive numbers, negative numbers, you can have decimals, whatever it might be, it will divide your data into 3 parts. By looking at the complete range of data, it is going to break it into 3 parts. So let's say you have -10, okay, and then -8, then you have -5, then you have 0, then you have 2, 3, then you have, let's say 5 and 10. Okay, let's just make this numerical. Okay, this is my complete range of data. What is my entire range of data? From a +10 to a -10. And if I go and apply the color icons over here, okay, so far we are doing only 3 parts. So like this. If I want to break it down into 4 parts, quarter, 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 right? 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 is what we saw. Now, if I use 4, then it will be 4 quarters, of which we don't have data in one of the quarter, as you can see. So let me change this to maybe -3. You're getting it? So like that, we can go ahead and use this data. Basically, this is distribution, data distribution. We will dive deeper into the concept of distribution when we start creating visualizations. Okay, just remember that distribution is where you take the entire range of data and you break it into smaller intervals. Okay, and you're looking at how many observations or how many values are there in each bucket. Okay, so that was about icon sets. Fine. So now we will do some hands-on part. I will show you some more things related to formatting and then give you an introduction to the lookup function. Formatting data that we have been looking at is all based on certain conditions so far, right? Based on certain conditions. Now, let's just take a few minutes to understand just normal formatting of the data. Okay, this is my data. Okay, and there are a few steps that I'm supposed to perform here in order to format this data. Not conditional formatting, just general formatting. Just let's say to present the data in a better way. So this is like going back to the basics. First, we need to autofill the employee numbers into cells A6 to A8. So A6 is this, up to A8, we need to automatically fill in the employee numbers. For that, we have the flash fill option in Tableau, isn't it? So this icon here represents something called as flash fill. So quick analysis tool. All I need to do is go to this border corner and over there on that handle, do a double click. It will automatically fill in the values. So Excel is a very intelligent tool. It can understand the patterns and it can replicate the patterns. It can, fill in the series. It can fill in the series. Then we have, what is the next question given to us? Set the columns width and rows height appropriately. You can notice that in some of the columns, the names are truncated, like hourly rate, whatever, this is all truncated. It's not very clear. So in one go to set the column width for everything, you can just start with the first column and just increase the size. Okay. Select everything and then double click on the edge of any one of these borders. On the border between two columns, you can see a line, right? So anywhere we can go ahead and double click. All of them will automatically adjust in such a way that the whole data fits in. Okay. Now here I will reduce the size given to A. We did not give so much. I'll reduce it. You see, neatly it has automatically arranged. Now these three are not looking so good, each one with a different column width. Suppose you would like to fix the column width, then you have to go to format option in the cells group here. Column width, I'm going to adjust and increase it to 25. Too much. 25 is too much. Okay, you have to check it relatively, you have to change it. Maybe 15 would be sufficient. Okay, next. The row height also has to be adjusted. So I will select all the rows and in similar fashion, I'm going to double click here between any two row numbers. You can go and double click. The height of all the rows in the selection will be adjusted appropriately. Next, third question is to set the label alignment properly. So these are the column headers, right? We need to set the alignment. There's no specific request here. Just properly we have to set it, means let us center align. This is a group on the ribbon that talks about alignment. This whole thing talks about alignment. So I want it to be middle aligned, center aligned. So I'll click here. All of them move to the center. Payroll that you notice, right? Payroll. Let us make this as the heading of the entire table. So rather than having separate columns, payroll should become one heading here. So what we can do is we can merge all the columns, merge and center. It will combine all the cells and it will also move the text to the center like that. I will make it I'll make it bold. You can see the font group. Okay, and I'm going to give it a background color. Fill it with yellow or whatever color of your choice you can use for formatting. Okay, and you can color it. All right, what next? Use wrap text and merge cells. I've done that. Apply borders, grid lines, and shading to the table as desired. So we've given shading to this particular cell. This is shading icon. Okay, similarly, let's say all the cells I'm going to select. And this is table borders, the border to the range of values. So when you click here, there are different types of borders we can give. I'll use all borders. So you can see the borders have appeared nicely. To this payroll, I'm going to give a thick outside border. Okay, and to this also, this whole thing, just a thick outside border. And these headers, let us highlight them by giving them a shading. So maybe like this, we will highlight them. Okay, So like that, you can explore the font, the alignment group, and all the features that are there in these two groups. Next, format cell B2 to short date format. This is B2, isn't it? Column B and row 2. We need to change this date representation and we have to show it in short date format. So what to do? If you have to change the format of a field, let's say the data type or how it presents the data, you select it and go under the number group here now. Okay, here it is custom. I will change that to short date. If I use short date, it will come like this. And if I go and use long date, it will show you the name of the month. Here, when the space is not sufficient, this kind of representation is something that you might come across pretty often. So if you see these hash symbols like that, it is simply meaning that the space is not sufficient to show the data in there. Okay, space is not sufficient to show the data in there. So I will go here. This is column B, right? So I'll go to this line here, double click on it. The width will get automatically adjusted. So when you double click on these, the width of the column gets automatically adjusted. How to give the border is the question. You have to select the data around where you might want to give borders. After selecting the data, where do we have the borders feature? We have it over here. In the font group, we have it. And here, this particular icon is for borders. And when you click on this drop-down icon, you can see a lot of options will come up. And I've taken this all borders option because I wanted borders around each and every cell in that particular selection. Okay, Anushta, is it clear? That's how you give borders. All right. So I've taken long date. Okay, no problem. Format the cells E4 to G8 to include $sign with 2 decimal places, E4 to G8. We will do that after we put some values in there. So calculate the gross pay for employees. We need to calculate the gross pay, which will be the hourly rate multiplied by the hours worked. So equal to, yesterday I showed you how you can directly select both the cells, use the multiplication symbol, right? What did I show you yesterday for multiplication? This multiplied by this. We can do it like this, okay? And we will get the product, which is basically the gross pay. Or we can use a function called as product. Let me show you that today. Okay, there is a function called as product. And the inputs that it will take is the numbers that are supposed to be multiplied. So I need the product of first number now. Okay, we'll have to give the first number. You can see the argument number 1 in bold, this, comma. You can see second number in bold, right? This is the second argument. So we are going to get the product of the data in C4 and D4. This is relative referencing. Okay, this is relative referencing. And when I copy that down by doing a double click on this handle here, it just gets copied down. So what is the formula here? You can see in the formula bars, product of C5 and D5. What is the formula used here? Product of C6 and D6. The formula used here, product of C7 and D7, so on and so forth. Now we are supposed to compute professional tax. Calculate the professional tax with 6%. That is going to be 6% of the gross pay. So what I will do is, I will keep it in one column and reference this column. Okay, I will keep it here and I will reference this column to compute the professional tax. It is computed as what? It is computed as the product. So whatever is the pay that we are giving to the employees, okay, this pay multiplied by the professional tax, which is over here. And this is supposed to be an absolute reference. It should not move down, right? For all the rows, we need to multiply the gross pay with 6% only. No relative movement is required. So I'm going to lock that in place by using absolute referencing. How did I do this? I just hit the function key F4. So when you press down F4 function key, dollar symbols will come before the row and the column, means it has been locked in place. Now we'll apply it. And then simply I will copy it down to the remaining rows. Finally, we have to compute the net pay. Net pay would be the gross pay minus the professional tax. That is what we get in hand, right? From the gross, the tax is deducted and then it is given to us. So is equal to this number minus this number. Enter. And I have to copy that formula down. So I'll just simply go there and drag it down. Now look at the form. Let's do the formatting. We are supposed to format the cells from E4 to G8 by including a dollar sign. So that would be currency. By default, it is a rupee. And then after choosing currency, we go to this accounting symbol. And then we can choose, let's say, English United States, because we need a dollar sign here. All right. What else? It must have 2 decimal places. It already has decimals. If we don't want the decimals, we can click here and remove the decimals, decrease them. So in this case, we need the decimals to be there. I will leave it. Okay, I hope you all understood. So simple formatting is what we've done here. Whenever you people get time, while you're practicing, create some sample dummy data sets like this, and you can practice all the options that are there in the home ribbon. The font group, the alignment group, the number group. Now that we have understood about styles, explore the styles group and the cells group. Okay. What else? So we'll now proceed to the next concept. How do we get the dollar part is? See, first of all, you have to change the data type. I changed the data type to currency. And because my system local by default is India, the currency is a Indian rupee. This is the symbol for Indian rupee. We've been asked to include the dollar sign in the requirement. So what I did is, after choosing currency, I went to the accounting symbol. Just below currency, you can find it. Okay. And here it gave Indian rupee by default. I want dollar, United States dollar. So I'm selecting the second option. And this is how it appears. Okay. And yesterday, I think there was a question on can we sort the data? We can do that. We will be looking at that a little later into the training. Sorting is possible. And someone kept asking, what if profit is 0? That question was not clear. You might have to elaborate on that question. Okay, so that's it about formatting. I hope it's clear. Now, how do we include some new add-ins, packs into the tool? Like, for example, analyze data. If this is not already present in your version of Excel, that first you must check if it is there in the add-ins. Sometimes if it is not available at all, it could be a version issue. Okay, like yesterday someone said that you were not seeing IFS. IFS wasn't there on your machine, right? So that could be a version issue. Whether or not a function is available on the version of Excel that you are using, you can simply check by just doing a double click on any cell, put the equal to sign, and then type in the name of the function. If you find it in the list, it means the version of Excel spreadsheet that you are using has that feature. And if you're not able to see the function, it means the version of Excel that you're using does not have that feature. As simple as that. Okay, it's as simple as that to check whether or not something is available. Now, to get the add-ins, you'll have to go to the file menu. Okay, so here we are on the spreadsheet, right? I'm going to the file menu. Before home, we have it on the top left corner. So go there. And then down here, bottom left corner, there is an option called as options. You will see something called as options. Now, when I click on options here, under add-ins you have to go. Okay, you have to go under add-ins, and then you have to manage Excel add-ins is what we're trying to manage. So if I click on the go button, it will show me the other add-ins which are available. So I had added this analysis tool pack. Because I added analysis tool pack earlier, on my screen on the top right corner, you can see this analyze data. Okay, if it is not present by default, then you may have to use this. Similarly, solver add-in, because later on we will be working with what if analysis. Maybe towards the end of next week, somewhere around 7th or 8th session, we'll be working with solver add-in. So that time you will need to know these things, okay? You'll require, so you can add them. Not now, later on you can add them. Okay, Satish, I hope that clarifies your doubt. Naveen, you can select cells adjacent to payroll also. You can type in additional data over there if you have to. Yes, these are still available. You can enter more data over here. All right. So I would like to give you all an introduction to the concept of lookup function. Just I will show you what it does. Okay, Rakshan, no problem. You leave it. If it's not showing anything, it means we don't have enough data to analyze whatever is going on over there. We don't have enough data to analyze. Okay, you can close it. It's not required for now. We will use it only when we get a little further into the concepts. Okay. I'll simply introduce you all to the concept of lookup, but we will be focusing completely on lookups tomorrow. Okay. A very, very interesting feature which Excel has. So look at this data here. Look at this data that we have over here. Okay, so I have information about certain products, the states where they are being sold, and certain statistics, certain information there. Now, you can notice that product type is not available. I don't have information about what is the type of that product, whether it is coffee, whether it is tea, whether it is green tea, or is it espresso. The product type is there in another worksheet. Okay, each of these products are classified into different types, and the type of the product is in a different sheet, which is not here. Now, what I need is, let's say my client has given me this data, and they want me to look up. They want me to search for the product type over here. Based on whatever is the product, I need to search for the product type from here, and I need to update this information in this column. So what am I trying to do? I'm going to look up, meaning search for the product type from some other sheet, fetch it from the other sheet and display it in this sheet. And to be able to use the lookup function, there has to be one field in common. There has to be a common denominator. Okay, I'm trying to search for the product in this sheet. So product should be available in this sheet also. Based on the name of the product type has to be fetched and it has to be pulled back over here. So when you are using lookup, when you're trying to get data from one table to another, or when you're trying to get data from one sheet to another sheet, we are merging data from two different sheets over here, isn't it? What is lookup? It's going to help us to merge data from different sheets, bring data from one sheet into another sheet altogether. So for this, we use a lookup function, and there has to be a common field. Please do remember that if there is no common field between the two tables, then lookup will not work. So let's see how lookup is, how to write a lookup function here. There are different varieties, again, different variants in lookup. There is VLOOKUP, there is HLOOKUP, and in the latest versions, there is something called as XLOOKUP. We will be looking at all of these functions in detail tomorrow. the difference between them and how they work. So here I will simply give VLOOKUP. As you can see, the function has come. I will select it. First thing we need to give is lookup value, meaning what are you trying to search? What is it that you're trying to search? I'm going to search for the data in the product column, this one. Where am I supposed to search for it? That is table array. Okay, you want to search for decaf Irish cream, but where am I supposed to look up? This is the value that I need to look up, but where? That will be the table array. So I need to look up for it in the different sheet. So I'll go to that sheet and select this data. Look up in this range. Search for decaf Irish cream in this range. Okay. Now it knows that it's supposed to search in this range. Because the lookup range is a completely different table or a completely different sheet, you can see how the addressing is, right? In the product type information, the name of the sheet, exclamation mark, and the range. So we'll lock in this range because it has to always come to this range only. I'm going to lock in that range by using absolute referencing. Okay. After that, comma. Column index number. Column index number. So we should not give the name of the column. We give the index number. So, in that range, it has to look up for column number 2. Okay. If you have noticed, product is one column and product type is the second column. So it starts numbering the columns from the left side, starting with 1. The leftmost column gets number 1. So this will be, suppose this is my data. This is column 1. This becomes column 2. This becomes column 3, so on. So I need to get data from column number 2. And then we have to give one other variable, which is called as range lookup, or it's basically whether we have to look for an approximate match or are we trying to go with an exact match. I need the product here to exactly match with the product on the other sheet, isn't it? It has to be an exact match. So for exact match, we need to give false. Okay, so once I do this, it has pulled back coffee from the product type information. It pulled back coffee. For decaf Irish cream, it pulled back coffee. Now I'll simply double click on this to copy the formula down. And you can see the correct product type is being copied back, depending on what the product is. Okay, my idea today is not to teach you VLOOKUP. It's just to give you a demonstration of how this feature helps us to bring data from different tables together, to merge data from different tables together. You're searching for something elsewhere and showing the result over here. So that is the beauty of a lookup function. Okay, tomorrow, the complete session, we will be focusing on lookup functions and try to understand them well. So thank you, friends. That's it from my side. And please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet already. Don't leave without hitting the like button. Okay, it's a request. Okay, please do give a like and share it with your friends, whoever you think would benefit by watching this series of videos that we are doing on Excel. Okay, that is the only thing I'm asking of you all. Subscribe, like, and share. Nothing more. Thank you all so much. Yeah, any questions from your side, I'll take up. Data will be uploaded in the LinkedIn platform. So you need to register to our, you need to follow our LinkedIn page from where you will be able to access the data. Why we give false and the significance of false, we will do a deep dive into that tomorrow. Avinash and Karthik. When should we use true? When should we use false? How the results will vary depending on that. We will do that. Today was just to give you a demonstration of how lookup works, nothing more. We are actually going to learn lookup tomorrow. Data sets will be uploaded in our LinkedIn page, and tomorrow I will share the link with you all. If you're following the LinkedIn page, you might find it there. If you have not started following it, please do, and tomorrow I'll give you the link also. Okay, I just need to get the link from my team. I couldn't get it today. Okay, don't worry about the data sets. I'll make sure that they reach you all. Yes. I'll share. Okay, I will send it in the comments in the YouTube channel. Okay, thank you all so much. Then we'll end the meeting here. Okay, please do don't forget to hit the like button before you all go. Hit the like button and then go. Thank you. Bye-bye.